Hi there, and welcome back to the History of Fleetwood Mac. I'm Anita. Today we're going to continue Volume 17, Episode 16 of my Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac scrapbooks. And today we're going to be carrying on with my concert journeys after the 4-night stint in Vegas, continuing on in July with the trip that I made to Colorado. Now, at the time, I was still living in California in the Bay Area. And of course, just like the 4 nights at the Caesar's Palace in Vegas, coming up to Colorado at Red Rocks, I'm like, is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Everything was a once in a lifetime. And, of course, once again, did not go over well with my ex-husband. And, just like every time, he dealt with it. He was always so kind. It's so funny because every time I say something about him, I hope I don't make him sound like mean or anything like that. He just was very, again, just didn't get it. And, somehow just always was appreciative and, like, of course, not let me, like, I needed his permission, but just he kind of went with it finally. But it always just kind of got under his skin a little bit. But much like Vegas, like I said, it was a have to. And I think it wasn't so much about getting the money for the ticket and stuff like that. I think it was a little difficult for me getting the flight. And in this situation, I was basically just going to go and come back overnight. I mean, really, I just had no agenda to get a hotel, visit, stay, or anything like that. I just want to go see the concert. I want to be there and I want to come home. I just really, it's not like Vegas with stuff to do. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff to do in Colorado, and I've actually been to Colorado before. It's a real pretty state, but I want to go to Red Rocks. So it ended up being that my friend who I was traveling with to all these other shows and another friend decided that they were going to meet us. And the third friend, I don't remember where he lives. I think it's in, I don't remember actually. But all I know is that everybody was flying into the same airport in Colorado. And I think I picked up my friend first, or she might have been there first. I got there because she was flying in from Southern California, I from Northern California. And then our friend, like I said, I'm not sure where he came from. But it seems like we had to go get one, or maybe we just hung out and waited for all three of us. And I rented a car, so I did get that. And then we all, made our way out to, like, maybe get something to eat or maybe just kind of rest. Not far from the airport was like a nicer hotel, like a brand name, a chain, but still a nicer place, a nicer area. And we just kind of hung out in the parking lot. And, before the showtime and stuff like that, we went in there, like, used her restroom and, it's kind of cleaned up, just real low key, just, not, just acting like we belong there and stuff like that. So it's kind of funny. We went to the show and we went to the place. And, well, first of all, on the plane ride, it was really funny because I made friends with the person sitting next to me. He ended up being a priest. And we were talking about places and, why was I visiting friends or family or something like that? And I told him what I was going to, and he thought that was really cool. And he says, "Have you been to Red Rocks before?" And I said, "No, I haven't." And he said, sorry, I just want to make sure this thing's on. He said, it's funny. He said at about like 5:20 p.m. or 5:22, he had like a specific time, like 5:21, some weird time like that in the day. He says, "You're going to be going out there and it's real muggy when you're there, but all of a sudden it's just going to release. It's just going to piss down raining." And he said, "Just wait it out. Don't freak out. It's real, warm and stuff like that. So, it'll evaporate off you just as quickly as it came." And he says, "But don't run for cover. Just ride it out. It will happen and it'll go away and you should be fine for the rest of the night." And I'm like, okay, like, you on a first name, weather basis with the big guy in the sky or something. He's real nice about it and stuff like that. But I'm just like, okay, oh, sure, whatever. Swear to God, at like a minute before or a minute after that guy said, lo and behold, we just had just out of nowhere, flash rainstorm that just came literally out of nowhere. There was just no, I'm from California, now Oregon, and I normally can kind of tell when it's going to be, when rain is coming. And there was just no indication for me. Or like Hawaii, maybe a little bit more, you kind of have that warm temperature and that humid, and you can kind of tell when the rain was coming. No, there's just no indication it was going to rain. It rained and then it stopped. It was so weird. And, I was dressed for the time and, a nice little skirt and top and stuff like that. So it was fine. I had all these pictures and stuff like this of the place, and I always feel weird showing them. That's why I didn't scrapbook them. It seems to me like, that kind of picture type of stuff that you show your friends and, your family, your vacation photos, and they're like, "Oh, great," So it was kind of hard for me to decide what to scrapbook. But I mean, Red Rocks, if you've never been, is really beautiful. And of course, these pictures are not as vibrant as they once were, this is, 2005. So that's what, 21 years ago. But just, the outskirts of the area and stuff. And you can see me, in the rental car taking the picture with my little cheapo camera of the scenery and stuff, which I thought was kind of funny. It was funny seeing this too, realizing I wear a bracelet like that all the time. I always have liked wearing bracelets, but it's just funny to see that there. I thought that was just kind of funny. Other little areas of it. These are just ones I didn't scrapbook. And it's so funny when I go to show you the pictures from the show as well. I had a whole bunch of like brochures from the place and like my plane ticket and stuff like that. And I like to just kind of collage that in the back and put pictures over it. Can I find those items now? Absolutely not. I had a little bit, but when I find those, I'll probably just pitch them now. I don't know if I'll make another page with these photos and the other stuff, but this is kind of like a little peek of the area. Again, kind of boring if you've been to Colorado, but look at that view. I mean, you're just so high up there and you can just see so far away. It is really pretty up there. Really neat place. And here's again, kind of the peaks. I think you see some of these parts in the Red Rocks video. You kind of see that's the same formation, kind of a little bit further, maybe something like that. Anyway, kind of silly, but just kind of fun to show you. But so we get there and, we're going up and down in the venue because we're super early. And seems like they didn't let us in. My dad grew up in Colorado or spent some time in Colorado. And he told me back in his day, so this would have been like in the 50s or no, probably late 40s, early 50s. He would, you could just walk in there and just climb all over the damn place, just up and down the place. And, there was no barricades, there was no anything like that. And it was still a music venue back then. And my dad was even saying how pretty it was back then. But when we got in there, it seems like we had to wait a little bit, but they let us in much earlier than like an average show place would, probably just because there's so much to see when you go in there. There's such a view. And so the first page I'm going to show you is kind of an indication of, I thought that was really cool. We hoofed it all the way up to the top and, kind of took a picture, and you can kind of see again where, where's that one other picture here I just showed, kind of like, how you can see that view, just all the way back here, how pretty it is. But let me tell you something, when that weather is humid and such, and you're walking all the way up there, it is a bitch. It is like, I don't care how in shape you are, that is a hell of a trek. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like you're going, that high or that steep or anything like that. And the next thing you know, you are huffing and puffing. It's awful. And it's the humidity and it's the height. And it is, it's a long walk up there. And then when you get up in the back up here, again, I had pictures or brochures from there, but somewhere at the top, there's, bar and a place to eat. And then there's like a little entryway and you kind of go down what looks like a tunnel or inside the mountain. Hell if I know. And then you kind of go down a little bit and it's very air conditioned and really nice in there. And they have, photos of people who have been there before, including a nice picture of Stevie and, plenty of other artists over the years. So that was really cool. And so, yeah, getting to the show. So then, we're at the show. And if you see my ticket, I had like front row. I mean, like no joke. I mean, front row, like bam, right there. And this was my first picture that I only put in there. It's blurry and awful hell, but just to give you an indication of how the Red Rocks look behind her, just in the stage format. Again, probably if you were up here, it would be honestly, a much more beautiful show, kind of like the show, like the Red Rocks DVD, because you see this and it's all lit up and probably you could see the town. You could probably see the lights. I don't think there's much town here, but you know what I mean? I think you could still see some of that landscape. But when you are right up front, which is totally where you want to be, respectfully, you're not really getting the whole Stevie and the whole venue, if that makes any sense. Kind of a dumb thing, but but it's real blurry, but I just, again, want to show you. And then the downside to that is that if you look at this picture here, this is what is between you and Stevie Nicks, that railing. There's no platform. There's no anything. And this picture, I opted not to, obviously put in Scrapbook, but I took it because you could see the railing. So I'm right there. I mean, right there. We're same, level, same, there's just this bar. And it's this tall bar with the thing across. I mean, it's completely open. It's not like silver bars, or it wasn't. You know what I mean? You could just duck under there or go over. It was neither too high or too low for either way and just be right there. And she was set back from the stage a little bit, again, as evidenced in this photo. But it floored me. I've never been somewhere at a Stevie show where she's like right there. It's always been up on the stage. Stage is elevated or anything. I've just never been kind of, same level. It's really weird. So again, back to the pictures. So here I was at that great show, but you could see my pictures still did not come out that great. I got a couple okay shots, but come on, focus here. But that was a decent one of Wadi, but they're dark. Now again, that could be from redeveloping them recently. I'm just having the worst luck with, where I've been taking them. I got to find a new place. So after the show, you can see these are my maps. We had the car rental map and stuff like that. So it was just Colorado. And it's funny, I didn't see anything that said Red Rocks. And I can't remember what little city it is. There's a particular little city. It's not called Red Rocks. Oh, it's not Aurora, but I can't think of it. But it's where Red Rocks is located. But I thought the town was called Red Rocks, but it's some little offbeat town. And you go way up to the top and it's Red Rocks. So when we were standing in line, there's this really cool thing about, people could be filmed and stuff like that, or, the rules and stuff like that. But then there was a sign and you can't read it. I have a closer up picture, but it says it would be being filmed. So we were really excited. We really thought maybe she would kind of do another kind of Red Rocks thing, like some X amount of years later or something like that. It never happened. But this is probably about the best shot that I had that night. Again, the development is kind of bad, but like on a computer screen, it's very bright and really, really nicely lit up. See, this again is a better way. And this was pretty cool. The end part. Oh, I like that one too. Now, what happened afterwards? Oh, here's a couple other ones. This one I thought was also a nice one, but again, it just didn't come out. And she's a little bit blurry there, but you see how dark it is. But greeting all the fans. I like this one too, but I didn't put it in there. So anyway, so we left after the show. We were hanging around and trying to see where the cars were going in the band and stuff like that. And they don't really hustle you out of the where you're at because it's not like seats. In the front you're standing. So they weren't really like you need to leave now. But what they're trying to do really is just empty the entire place because it's so big. And there's so many little, I don't want to say nooks and crannies, but for lack of a better term, there's you got to get all the people from the up, in the bars and the restaurant, and then anybody who might be down in that kind of little, tourist area and all that kind of stuff. So they're really just trying to vacate the entire premises, not just the row. So nobody really was on our asses too much. And so I don't think I got a set list this night. I think I got one. I got one later. And I don't think we saw any of the band because I was looking through and I didn't see any pictures. But we got back to my car and we went around to the back where the buses and the cars were leaving and stuff like that. And we waited and waited and we're like, you know what, they're long gone and stuff like that. And just as we're like kind of backing out, we're not really supposed to be there, but it's just so busy. People are just like, like you should go now. And then they just walk away, and we're like, okay, well, I am really just trying to turn around and we are just kind of, we're just slumming it. We have nowhere to be. Now we literally are counting down the time till we can get back to the airport, drop off the car, get back to the airport and be gone. And it seemed like both my friends, not seemed like, it definitely was. My friend was leaving pretty early, like a red eye. The other friend was leaving like, late, like early morning. And I wasn't leaving until like the afternoon or something like that. So we had a lot of time to kill. So next thing we know, like I said, everybody cleared out and then a limo comes out. We're like, oh shit, that's probably Stevie. You know what I mean? And we're like, yeah, well, what do we got to do? So the car goes to leave. Now hear me out again. She's a human being. She deserves her respect, her privacy. And again, I would never want to encounter Stevie Nicks or do anything to, most importantly, get that look, like, woman, you've crossed the line, you pissed me off. I mean, it would break my fucking heart. You know what I mean? So, but we're just like, we're leaving Red Rocks as well. We're not staying anywhere. We're staying in the freaking car. So what do we have to lose? We're just going, you know what I mean? So we go and they're going to the airport because I know that she has another date. I forget where she's going the next day, but we weren't making that. We were missing one and then I would be at the one after that. So we figured probably the airport and stuff. Sure enough, she's going to the airport. And here's the funny story. She drives into the airport. It's obviously a singular little private airport. and there's a plane waiting for her. And when she drives on, they go onto the tarmac, and we park on the outside, way the hell on the outside. And on the outside, which is pre-rain, it's, public property, there are seats sitting there, little stone benches and stuff like that, to watch your friends or wait for, or whatever the case may be, just to sit, you know what I mean? So, if the car had stopped and Stevie had gotten out and was just, mingling with the people at the airport, and then we were there, cool. But otherwise, we're just like, oh my God, that's so cool. Her plane, that's really badass. That's cool. I always wondered who was on the plane with her, and it ended up just being her and Waddy and her assistant, which you'll hear about her in a second, and her dogs. And so that was cool to find out and stuff like that. But we just literally kept our distance outside the place. And it's like, you know what? That's a bummer. That'd be totally cool if we could have met Stevie, but no, they're way the hell. That limo drives all the way. And we're not talking like a driver. We're talking like a distance to the plane. She gets out and stuff like that, and we see her. We're just like flipping out, but they're way the hell far away. And we're not going to scream. That's just stupid. Because what the hell do you think she's going to do? Walk all the way back out? Her and Waddy get in there, and then one of her dogs, I think Stevie's dogs, could have been Karen's dogs, but I think it was Stevie's dogs, gets off the plane and they start barking. Well, little dogs just like mine bark at freaking anything, but these dogs were looking our direction and barking. But the plane is going, other planes are going, so there's that loud beam. There's just the sound and everything like that. So I don't know, but the dog was barking. Karen comes marching back out. She's looking right at our direction. She's like, get out of here. She starts hauling ass, yelling at us. And she's yelling at us from easily 100 feet, 150, 100 feet. Like not close, not close at all, like a ways. We're clearly on the outside. Not a one of us has walked in. Not a one of us is screaming for Stevie. We're just like, that's cool. That's badass. Be on your way. Nothing. Not a damn thing. And I get kind of pissy about things like that because I am worried. I am like totally worried that like, oh shit, did I go too far? Did I do something bad? So I kind of like hauled off and I'm like, hey, listen, bitch, like I didn't say that, but I'm like, we're perfectly legally here. And we've, and she can't hear me. I don't even know what I was thinking, but it kind of set me off because, I felt bad. Like, oh God, like I was made to feel bad. Like, should I feel bad now? Like, did I do something wrong? I mean, it was just that kind of instant feeling. My friends, I don't know what the hell they were feeling or thinking, probably nothing, but I felt really terrible. But, if we've been standing there yelling at her or trying to run on the tarmac or join them, absolutely. I mean, there's a line and you don't cross that line. But we thought that was cool shit. We get in the plane, Karen goes about her way and I'm like, whatever. And the limo comes back out and he parks outside and I guess, he had to do some paperwork or do something. And he comes out and he sees us and stuff. And he's like, I don't know what he said or how it came up or something like that. We're like, no, we're huge fans. We're really big Stevie Nicks fans. But, we came out, we came into town for the concert. All of us came from out of state and blah, blah. And he's like, no way. And we're like, yeah. And, she came out. That's really cool. I was, have never seen a celebrity's private plane. And that was just so neat and so cool and stuff like that. And he's like, you want to look in the limo? And I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird, but we're like, well, you're here. And so, I like looked in, but I'm like, what the hell? Her ass was in there. So fucking was. Now that to me was weird. That to me was a little bit weird. Like, okay, she was in a limo. Yeah, that was cool. But I mean, so what? She's now on the plane. Do I want to like sniff the plane? It was funny. And almost as soon as he said it, even he's like, just sounded funny. But you can hardly see it, but that was the limo. I like got a picture of the limo as it was leaving. And I actually, I don't think that's leaving. I think that might be going on into the airport. I'm not sure. I have no recollection, but I know it's from this night. It could have been leaving the venue or it could have been going into the airport. I'm not too sure. But so anyway, we came back, we left after a while. We talked to that driver who was really nice. And he said she was super nice and everybody was really cool and stuff like that. And that's always neat to hear and stuff and chit-chatting with him and telling him, we're all flying back out. We didn't stay anywhere. We're all going to, or my friend and I, the one friend who I don't remember what area he came from, but I don't know that he was going to other shows, but my friend and I were going to several other shows back in California, in the next week or two. So he was kind of like, God, you guys are crazy, but we're cool and stuff like that. And he thought that was really neat as well. So the kind of end thing for me for that trip was just, being on a high. We went to Red Rocks. It was so immortalized in the 1986 video, or 87 technically, DVD and VHS, and really being there, it was a freaking beautiful venue. It really was. And I kind of would like to maybe go back and see even maybe Stevie Nicks and maybe just sit a little bit further. Although being front like that was pretty unique. But then we went and we dropped off our one friend, and then my girlfriend and I, who I go to all the shows with, we came back around to that hotel parking lot. We just kind of sat and chilled there. And then it was time to go take her. We were trying to get a little nap and stuff like that. And then I went and took her to the airport. And then I came back, parked at that same place. And I decided I was going to sit there because I just felt safe there now for whatever reason. It was a lot of back and forth in the car, but it was okay. And I thought, I'm going to sit here and just get a nap in or something like that. And then eventually I went into Denver, proper, and did some record. I found some record stores and stuff. Didn't really get anything, but just did that. I like to go to a record store anytime I'm out of state or somewhere else. And the highlight, though, of the show, of all the things, and it'll live in my brain rent free. And it's one of the few things. It's so funny, you can't remember memories or something like that, but sometimes an image or a feeling or smell or something, it stays with you. And I'm there, I'm by myself now, I'm looking to get some sleep. I'm exhausted, but I'm on a high, so I really can't sleep. And I'm back in that parking lot of the hotel, and I'm watching the sunrise. And it just seemed like the biggest orb on the planet is just, there's something about the Colorado landscape, because now I'm in a really flat area. The Denver, the Red Rocks are so high up, but where this is at, you're really flat. And that is just this big, huge half circle, just rising and deep and vibrant. And it just was blowing my mind. Like almost like you thought, like, oh my God, am I tripping on something? Did I have something to drink or something? It was that insanely vivid and stuff like that. And it's just one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen. So that was really cool. And just kind of seemed poetic and very Stevie-like or something like that, to watch something so magnificent in a city you've never been in, at a venue, at something that means so much to you. So that was a really, really neat feeling. And like I said, I might forget about elements of the concert or something like that, but that will never be forgotten. That beautiful, beautiful sunrise. So like I said, caught a couple Z's and then drove into Denver, and that was really a neat experience. I found like 2 or 3 record stores. I probably got something, but like I said, nothing that I can really recall or anything like that. And then went and dropped off the car and took my flight home and came back. So that was my little experience in Denver. And next up we have, after Denver, in the next video, I think we have, so the Denver show was on the 20th of July. And then the next show that I went to was on the 24th. And I think Stevie had one show in between there. Let me see, actually. Yeah, she had San Diego. So we missed the San Diego show. So there was the 20th, and then I guess she was off the 21st and 22nd. I can't see anything. Not that there wasn't. Oh, wait, did I see that? No, it's on my phone. She might have had one on the 22nd, but for some reason I don't think so. I think she was off. So there's 23rd and 24th, and probably that is accurate because it's in Southern California, so it's much easier to drive there. She's not having to fly anywhere. So yeah, so that is what will be coming up next, is the show immediately thereafter on the 24th, and we'll get to that in the next video. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it wasn't too boring with family photos of a family trip or something like that. It was kind of cool. And for a lot of you who, maybe have never been to Red Rocks, I highly encourage it if you can, especially in the time that we may not have as much time of Stevie touring. I highly suggest, if she shows there, to go back. I would love to go back again, but that was kind of my moment. So I think maybe it was just meant to be that one time. So anyway, that's my story, and I hope you enjoyed it. Everybody have a great night. We'll see you next time. Bye.